Today is the 14th March, nicht nur March, 14th May 2026. I'm doing another practice, this time about how it feels to talk about a specific topic. I'm doing this again a little bit later in the day. Still because my mornings are a little bit more down, so I'm pushing them a little bit up on the day and doing them a little bit later. The topic I want to talk about today is just my first impressions on Star Wars Outlaws. I just started playing this game this week. I got it as a gift for my birthday earlier this year, and I only started playing it this week. I've played it now for 22 hours. I am at the beginning of the second planet, from what I can tell for. So I'm still decently early on, very much still at the beginning of the main story in a way. I just got ND5 and landed on the second planet. I've just finished most of the things in the capital of Kichimi, I think was the name of the planet I chose for my second one. That's where I'm at my state in Star Wars Outlaws. My first impressions is that I really enjoy the game. I would say the game that I would compare it the most to, honestly, is Hogwarts Legacy. I think Star Wars Outlaws, at least in this state, is in many things that it does for Star Wars fans what Hogwarts Legacy is for Harry Potter fans, with just the world, immersing the player in the world. And Star Wars Outlaws does a really good job, I think, with that. I think the world is very, very amazing, and it's very, like, everything fits very well together. I would like to start with my issues, or the issues that I see first. Well, at first, the crashing. It still crashed quite a bit, especially yesterday evening. I had quite a few crashes. It seemed to help to turn off all of the in-game overlay and the cloud sync from the Ubisoft launcher. That seemed so far to resolve my crashing issues that I had yesterday. Because like on the second world, for some reason, this seemed to be a lot more than I had on like the first world. For some reason, which is really weird to think that Ubisoft makes a game that forces to use the Ubisoft launcher on Steam, so you need a second launcher on Steam to play the game, which, if it works for me, I don't really have a big issue with that. But when the Ubisoft launcher is that bad that it makes the game crash, that's kind of really weird. Why you then enforce that and not just use the Steam systems, which would even alleviate some of your service pressure that you have on yourself. You don't have to have the cloud sync, and that you don't need to do that on your own, which Ubisoft currently probably has to do in some way. So that's weird. And just for the copyright protection, I mean, Steam, to my knowledge, has that on its own. Weird, very weird. But other than that, I don't had any performance issues, which I think were a bigger issue on when it launched. The only other criticism that I have so far for the game is maybe a little bit, I would have liked just more side stories, like more meaningful side stories. There are the expertise side stories, and they haven't done any of the other side quests actually yet. So I can't actually say if there's a little bit more story in them, because a lot of the activities in the open world are very normal open world things, which I enjoyed so far. I did actually quite a lot of just open world activities and just missions. And I already have my Crimson Dawn reputation on the highest level. So I did a lot of side content that doesn't actually have a lot of like unique and well-made story to it, which is like all of the things so far like more just camps that you engage with the combat, so like just normal open world points of interest. But I also did enjoy them, and again to my comparison to Hogwarts Legacy, I think like also Hogwarts Legacy is doing that very much the same. Like the open world stuff is just battle encounters, some puzzles, and basically some repetitive tasks that you can do most of the time. And the side quests in Hogwarts Legacy are also very much just a little bit of dialogue and then to some maybe some unique points of interest that are not normally findable on the map. So in that sense, I feel the Hogwarts Legacy and Star Wars Outlaws are very much on par with each other. What I really found great about Star Wars Outlaws is how it innovates. I mean, I don't know if it's a general innovation, but at least from the Ubisoft open world formula, where they mostly just use like watchtowers and you go into an area and you kind of scan and see pretty much all of the point of interest that you can do there. Star Wars Outlaws is a lot more based on exploration. So if you just go out in the open world, you actually have to like find and look for point of interest. Is only when you are basically near them, you see them. So you can't just open the map and see, okay, this is there and this activity is here and that is there. You actually have to go out and go to these points, and only then do you get revealed what it is and see the point of interest. Other than that, which is even more amazing, I think, in Star Wars Outlaws, is that the points of interest on the open world are tied to an intel system where you, based on like how it's done on Star Wars, you have to gather information. You have to like very immersively done, where you are like in the cities and you like sit on a bench or you lean on the bar, like to like, what are they called, where you get the drinks, where the bartender is on that thing. You lean there and you just listen to conversations around you. You gather by that very immersively, just bystander listening to a conversation somewhere near and around you. You overhear some conversation and get some information from that, and that reveals kind of a mini quest to chase some intel to get some point of interest. Some are just some points of interest in the open world. Some are a little bit more like a treasure hunt. Some have a little bit more steps, and there are different kinds of intels you can buy by some like merchants and like traders. You can like buy intel, so you can pay someone to give you some meaningful information that you can then chase and go for. Sometimes you can just talk with someone and they might give you something. So there are a lot of ways to get intel and infrag information, and it really fits into this. First, it really fits into the Star Wars world, where even like in the movies and the series, you really see this like information trading, kind of, and this like spying, and you sometimes get them by hacking something. You can get intel. So there are a lot of ways how you can get this kind of intels, and they are tied into the open world and to exploration and to like missions and stuff. And that, I think that's really cool about, and it's very fitting thematically into the fantasy of that game, of being like more of this Han Solo kind of character that has to fight its way through the underworld, not really liking it. So the character is not really one where he's like not really a criminal on like the own. They don't really do necessarily bad things, but they just want to get the best from this for themselves, and they just have to deal with the bad shit in the galaxy, and that's the result. And so there are just a lot of things that are very, for me, I think they're very, very fitting, and there are just a lot of, like, so far I haven't seen anything that doesn't like fit into the theme and into the fantasy, and it's all very cohesive. And even like the more negative parts, like combined with the combat, like it's mostly a stealth game when it comes to combat. It's mostly like, at least on foot, it's mostly a stealth combat game. a lot of things very much punish you for like shooting your way through, which you from the power you can very much do. Sometimes a little bit clanky. It's like not too much from the polish. I'm playing also with controller, so maybe that's a part of it where you just feel that, well, the design from combat is very much cover based, where you're like duck behind cover and you can also just shoot just over the cover with like your hands a little bit, but then also get out and do some aim shooting over the cover, which is not the best cover shooting system. It's very much fine. It's not clanky in like an indie way where it's like there's an issue on the polish side. But the enemies are very simple. So there are a lot of, first you very often just have like when you get into combat, you just have your whole camp and like 10 people on you, and they kind of surround you and the issue there is not even that there are a lot of people and that they surround you or anything like that. I think some of the clankiness just comes from the pathing of enemies, and also from the cover. Like a lot, when you're in cover, a lot of times, especially when you're on high ground and cover, a lot of stuff blocks your shoot and even your aim. A lot of times you aim and you can't even see the enemies over the cover, which is like, that's kind of a clanky thing that it makes the combat a little bit unpolished, where the cover sometimes is actually in your way of shooting things and you don't hit them, and the way they path and the way the enemies behave make it sometimes a little bit weird. Like, I mean, it makes it easy, where they sometimes just line up and you just headshot the one and then the next and the next and the next and the next, and it just all die very easily, which doesn't, I mean, it's easy and yeah, makes the game easy, but also makes it a little bit, okay, they're just stupid. So for the fighting, a little bit more smarter enemies would be nice, would make it a lot better, and a little bit better cover, especially from the camera perspective, would make it a little bit better, the feeling. Other than that, the combat is just very simple, and the stealth is also very simple. The stealth, I would say, very much is also there really much on par with Hogwarts Legacy. Stealth in Hogwarts Legacy, I found, is just really, really overpowered. It's quite easy to not be seen. In Hogwarts Legacy, when I remember correctly, a lot easier than in Star Wars Outlaws. There are just the navigation Star Wars Outlaws. It's fine. It's again a very simple puzzle. It's very simple combat in Star Wars Outlaws, I would say. It does its job. I think also where a lot of criticism for this game came in the combat part is a lot more on when it comes to the combat, that there are no really rewards for like fighting, for shooting your way through something. You're pretty much always rewarded for avoiding to fight. Like, first in the sense that, like, as I just said, there's just a little bit of clankiness about fighting. The enemies are not smart enough for that fighting system to be really good. Again, the cover blocks your view in certain ways, which just feel, I don't want to be here, like the fighting system works a little bit against me, at least on some parts. And then you have the missing of rewards for shooting, which I think in the theme is really good, because I think in this fantasy you shouldn't be rewarded to just fight your way through. Kay should not be able to just go to a place at like even like an Imperial fortress and just kill everyone there. She should not be able to do things loud and just shoot you through. So again, there, even I think that part really fits into the fantasy and into the theme. It's very fitting. Even like the clankiness of like the cover, and that hitting enemies is sometimes not the easiest from like aim, at least from the controller side. I haven't played it with mouse and keyboard, if that's just not an issue there. And I'm not so used to the controller yet. I'm liking it more and more playing with controller. That's why I play it also with controller now. Just having a little bit more chill. But back to the combat. I just think it's everything fits, even if like combat is very punishing in the way that you do not want to shoot at people. First, you don't get anything from killing stuff. You don't get any experience. Enemies that you kill don't drop any resources. They drop like health packs, they drop grenades, and they might drop some secondary weapons that you can use for a few shots. So killing enemies only gives you more tools to fight, but you don't get anything that makes you stronger. There's no experience, there are no resource drops from enemies, so you do not get rewarded for killing enemies, besides just a little bit more resources to keep fighting. But other than that, so it just keeps you up at fighting, but there are no rewards for fighting. And other than that, there are parts where you can't fight. Like, there are just Imperial fortresses. I don't know if there are other camps, but I only so far had experience with like bigger Imperial fortresses where they just get constant reinforcement and you cannot kill anyone there. You have to go, and at some point you have to go stealth. You can like kill like the people that are there, but they just get stormtrooper reinforcement, so you would just fight endless, and again you don't get anything for it. So you just have to lay low and get your wanted status away and then go silent after you killed everyone and clear it down. But the troopers are not ending at some point. So there are some places where you just cannot kill everyone because they're just constantly new enemies, and yeah, there's no point in that. At other areas, there are just missions where you cannot be seen. Otherwise, I mean, you don't hard fail, but you lose reputation. And not just when you're seen, when you engage in combat in like criminal faction zones, you lose reputation with them. So you get punished in reputation, which is kind of a progression system and gives you more access to missions and some rewards, some actually gear and stuff and that, and gives you easy access to some zones if you have more reputations with the criminal factions. But if you fight in the criminal factions, you lose reputation with them. So if you engage in any fight, if they see you, you lose reputation with them. So you want to be stealthy there to not lose reputation. You get punished there for fighting. So you have a system where you sometimes get reputation punished. When you fight enemies, you have parts where you cannot kill anyone because there's just infinite like reinforcement. And then the combat is a little bit clanky and a little bit easy. And there again, there's nothing to get out of combat. You do not get stronger. There's no progression, nothing that you get from actually killing enemies. So, and all of that reinforces you in to prioritize stealth over shooting and just not be seen, which I think fits very well. All of these aspects fits very well into the theme of, first, you're just a normal black scoundrel in the Star Wars galaxy. You should not be able to just kill everyone on the whole map, which I think is fitting. And it's fitting that, well, if you kill and fight your like a criminal syndicate on their territory, you lose reputation with them. All of that is very fitting, but it's I think it's a big part why, especially at the beginning, where those aspects probably were just worse, where the stealth were a little bit worse, where the combos were even more worse, where you had crashes and performance issues and whatever. All of that, I think, at the beginning led very much to the big criticism and the financial flop of the game. But at this state, I think it's fine, and I think from the design, it's very fitting. I very much understand why they've done all of that, and it feels, if you lean into the stealth and you lean into the fantasy like I'm mostly doing, I mean, I sometimes just like to also kill people when I can. But I also think, well, those are just scenarios where I have to choose where I want to fight and where I really want to stick with stealth. And again, I just can repeat myself. I felt very much it's very fitting, and the world, to like finalize my first impression, the world is very, I think it's very, there are a lot of immersive parts of the world. I actually do very much also enjoy the photo mode. I like to take photos like just on reel. I do it a lot of times just on walks. So I'm very much into photography, just as a hobby, just for fun. And so more and more I also do enjoy doing that in games, and having the photo mode itself is quite good. The only criticism that I have with the photo mode in Star Wars Outlaws so far is that for Kay and even for Nix, for the two characters, that there's no way to really position well service on that. there are no pose I can put K in a good pose. There are no emotes where I can like make K behave in a certain way for a certain picture, and she a lot of time looks just very neutral, and so like taking pictures with her face on it is a lot of times making the photos a lot worse. So I tend to just go with like the actually game perspective of like just shooting her from behind, just having her as someone who watches with us some scene, and which I mean for my photography is also very fitting, because most of the time I don't do photos of the people around me, so that's all right with me. But I kind of wished I could have used the photo mode in Star Wars Outlaws a little bit more, where I can like position it a little bit more, give her like certain poses, maybe change her face expression a little bit more, stuff like that. Have like Nyx sit on her shoulders, on her arm, or something like that. Would be really nice to have a little bit better photos. That's a missed opportunity, even if it's not like an emote system, which I understand that there's no emote system if there's not a social game. But I would have just liked static poses, which just one static pose that you just switch in the photo mode between. That would have really improved the photo mode. Otherwise, that I think it's really great. I even use it in stealth to like look around corners or look up where I'm like down, where I have a ladder to, and sometimes I don't see is there an enemy or where the enemies above, and so I use the photo mode and like look a little bit up here. You can't go that far, so you just have like, I don't know, 4 or 5 meters that you can go away from the character with the camera in the photo mode. But I actually also use the photo mode sometimes in stealth combat, just to look around corners, and especially look at high ground to see, okay, if I go up that ladder, would I be just spotted there, and where are the cover positions in a further position to just plan a little bit more ahead. So I use it a little bit more also for combat, which I find interesting to do. Yeah, but to just wrap up my first impression about Star Wars Outlaws, I really love the game. I think I had 17 hours in like my first 2 days of playing the game, so I played 12 hours one day. I mean, that's probably enough to say how much I enjoy the game. I think it's a really great game. I think it's very immersive. For me as a Star Wars fan, it's just nice to have the experience of being in Star Wars. My really only criticism for me is I just wish there would be more. Like more, so give me more, just give me more, give me a little bit more depth, make it a little bit even more lively. I mean, I think the world, from how it's lived in, gives you a good feeling, but it would be nice if there would be a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more depth to all of it. Again, it's just, I want more. The same criticism that I had with more Shadowlords. I just want more of it. So yeah, I should wrap it up. Otherwise, this just goes on too long. Maybe we'll talk another time when I finish it about it. That's currently probably my plan if I do this practice again. Other than that, I will stop here. Until next time.